Hello YouTube, this is Our Future and the Powers with the People. This is chapter 4 from my book, The Case to Prepare, and this is on power, control, and prophecy. The bankers claim to be Jews. Actually, they are Austrian Jews. They are not true Jews. They and their followers were the ones that started the Zionist movement in the late 19th century. It wasn't until after Hitler's mother was a Bauer, if you remember from the second chapter of my book, the name Bauer, and where they originated from, Austria, and World War II, that Israel was created. The theory is that the bankers used the Holocaust as a reason to create Israel. It was their policies that started the French Revolution, the American Revolution, the Civil War, World War I, World War II, and everything that happened in between. And I'd like to add to that it was also the same people that created the Bolshevik Revolution in Russia. So everywhere. The whole Christian world thought that FDR, Social Security, and New Deal was the mark and a sign that the end of the age was coming. The whole Christian world thought that the creation of Israel was a sign of the end of the age. They were right. It was, and it is. It just took longer than they thought. The central banks around the world enslaved the world to the bankers' money. The New Deal and social programs here in the U.S. made the common man dependent on the government. Our educational system taught us to be subservient and to work for large corporations. That was just for starters. Think of where we have come in our dependence of our government since the New Deal. Want more proof? Take a look at income taxes, property taxes, taxes before the New Deal, after New Deal, and now. Now think about the socialist governments of Europe. Imagine how dependent the public is on their governments there. Now hear me out on this. Even an atheist can't deny what is the single most holy piece of real estate on the planet that has been fought over for thousands of years, and that's Jerusalem. More importantly, the site of the temple. More importantly, the room of the holiest of holies, the Dome of the Rock. That rock is it. Why? I can't tell you other than that is a spot where Jacob slept and saw the ladder to heaven, where God told him that land would be his and his descendants forever. So please read Genesis chapter 28, verse 10 through 22, and that's Jacob's dream at Bethel. And I also invite you to Google the abomination of desolation. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 says, "Brothers and sisters, we have something to say about the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ and the time when we will meet together with him. Do not be easily upset in your thinking or afraid if you hear that day of the Lord has already come. Someone may have said that in a prophecy or in a message or in a letter as if it came from us. Do not let anyone fool you in any way. That day of the Lord will not come until the turning away from God happens and the man of evil, the one who is on his way to hell, appears. He will be against and put himself above any so-called God or anything that people worship. And that man of evil will even go into God's temple and sit there and say that he is God. I told you when I was with you that all this would happen. Do you remember? And now that you know what is stopping that man of evil, so he will appear at the right time. The secret power of evil is already working in the world, but there is one who is stopping that power. And he will continue to stop until he is taken out of the way. Then that man of evil will appear, and the Lord Jesus will kill him with the breath that comes from his mouth and will destroy him with the glory of his coming. The man of evil will come by the power of Satan. He will have great power, and he will do many different false miracles, signs, and wonders. This is a really important verse, verse 10, especially concerning right now. He will use every kind of evil trick to those who are lost. They will die because they refuse to love the truth. For this reason, God sends them something powerful that leads them away from the truth, so they believe a lie. So all those will be judged guilty who did not believe in the truth, but enjoyed doing evil. This is a spot where the Antichrist will declare himself God of all humanity. This is why the land of Israel is so important to the men behind the Zionist movement, which is the reason for the Holocaust and the reason the Jews were moved back to that land after World War II. Follow the money, follow the Rothschilds' money. So let's go back to what we just read in 2 Thessalonians. It is a turning away from the one who keeps things right, a turning away from Jesus. Do you think most Americans go to church on a regular basis anymore? If they do, are they there for Christ or are they just there? Has anyone noticed the norm these days? Miley Cyrus with devil horns twerking, gays bashing Christians, atheists bashing Christians, Muslims killing Christians. Who are the Christians hurting? Seriously. The churches take the offerings and give most of it away to the poor, or they used to, and use it to build bigger churches. Only until the last few decades have we seen such a turning away, especially the last decade. This is all part of the divine plan. Read the first 3 chapters of Revelations and see what the Spirit says of the 7 churches. And I want to pause right here for a minute. And of course, where I said only until the last few decades have we seen such a turning away. Well, you have to understand what happened in the last few decades. Well, Lyndon Johnson sponsored a bill in the 60s. I'd have to look it up to tell you the exact date and the bill and everything else. But it was a 501c. And the 501c basically said that if a church was going to keep its tax-free status, then they could not speak against the government. And that is a really scary bill. Why in the world would the government be worried about what the churches say about the government? And, well, of course, this is why. So it was really important for Lyndon Johnson. Lyndon Johnson did a lot of bad stuff, but it was really important for Lyndon Johnson to put that 501c into the books. And this is why churches stay away, especially since the 60s. And there's been such a degradation of people in society since that has happened. All right, let's continue. Obviously, I updated this in February of 2015 because Benjamin Netanyahu is calling for all Jews around the world to live in Israel because that is the only place in the world where they can be safe. I wonder why. Control. That is what the super rich, powerful, and the Illuminati all want. They want control of everything and everyone. 1 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 16 and 17. Do you not know that you are a temple of God, and that the Spirit of God dwells in you? If any man destroys the temple of God, God will destroy him, for the temple of God is holy, and that is what you are. It's an unbelievable statement there. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 4, he will oppose and exalt himself over everything that is called God or is worshipped, so that he sets himself up in God's temple inside you, proclaiming himself to be God. Control. The technology is available for total mind control. A chip that Sorry, I messed that up. Neurotransmitters in the brain, along with heavy doses of metal that we've been given as vaccines, could give him total control of our minds and bodies. There are other proven ways to manipulate our minds through television and radio programming. It is just that, programming our minds without us even knowing. I'm convinced that pornography, music, books, movies, and everything that we have come to love and enjoy is contaminated with these people's intentions of destroying our minds, self-image, respect, and dignity. We have become numb to the shock factor, and somehow the next generation wants more than the last. Where does it stop? People sacrificing their firstborn children for blessings, or maybe eating them? These people that control the entertainment business are Satanists. That is an absolute fact. Do your own research. If an actor or a musician is going to make it in this environment, they have to do as they are told to do, or their talent will not make it to the top. Do you really think John Travolta's son Jet died of asthma? I believe it was a sacrifice, and most likely John Travolta himself performed the killing. This stuff is more horrible than you can realize, and it is purposely kept from you. But if you scratch the surface, you will find the truth. It's tough when you find out you love everything you loved and enjoyed is part of it. But then again, that is why Jesus and the prophets warned us over and over again about this world. I love Jimmy Buffett, but guess what? He has been in it for years. He has been going to the Bohemian Grove for decades and writing songs about his drug smuggling. Listen to what he says. Listen to what they all say. It will shock you when your eyes are opened. And the war on drugs is, and still is, a war on drug competition. There's never been a shortage of cocaine, heroin, etc. since it being invented. Our own soldiers and Marines were in Afghanistan guarding poppy fields and teaching them how to boost production. Meanwhile, in the U.S., doctors were overprescribing opiates to a large percentage of the population, getting them physically addicted. Now the doctors are stopping the prescriptions, and guess where my patients are going now? That's right, to the heroin. It's cheaper, easier to get, and a lot more fun than popping Lortabs. World peace through complete control of everything, your body, your mind, your soul. These things pass time for us and give us a chance to unwind and relax our minds. These things do not give us happiness. If a TV show is what makes you happy, then you should probably rethink your life. Get out and live for yourself. Play a sport, exercise, join a club, a prepper club, or church, or get involved with something real. Don't live your life through a damn TV. It's not real, and it's not your life. It is a fantasy. So I want to go back and talk about the temple. And, there's a lot of controversy. People think that, that nothing will be complete until the third temple is complete. And I partly believe that's true, but I think it's two things. I think there's a spiritual side to it and a physical side to it. That the spiritual side will basically be which is also physical. It's kind of hard to explain, but when something gets inside of us, we have to take something inside of us where the Antichrist sets himself up in our minds and has complete control of us. All right, that is the mark of the beast. But at the same time, physically, he has to be in that spot to declare himself to the world as the living God here on earth and the Messiah, the false Messiah. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Take care. God bless.